You are standing over a 50-gallon reactor in a cinder block building outside Culiacan. The smell of acetic anhydride is so sharp, it is currently stripping the lining from your sinuses. You are manufacturing heroin, converting raw opium paste into high-purity diacetylmorphine using a process you learned third-hand from a 1974 academic journal. You work without gloves because they reduce the dexterity needed to prevent an explosion. You accept the permanent chemical burns on your left hand for $3,000 a week in cash. It is more than anyone in your village makes in a year, enough to keep your younger brother in engineering school and out of buildings like this. This diagram shows your specific conversion process. While the purity is high, your method leaves behind a residual acetyl marker. In DEA laboratories, they've identified this chemical fingerprint and logged it as Signature 9. You think you are anonymous, but your product is already talking to the government. Before the DEA knows your name, they know your chemistry. Your physical sacrifice has created your first permanent data point in a surveillance system you can't see. Your efficiency leads to a promotion into logistics. You move into a gated house in Mazatlan with an ocean view and a courtyard. You buy your mother a refrigerator and your brother a laptop, believing the distance from the lab has finally bought you safety. While you watch the coast, DEA analysts in Phoenix are watching your boss, Coronel. They are intercepting his communications with a distributor in Novales, mapping the organization from the safety of a suburban office building. By monitoring phone traffic, the DEA maps the nodes connecting Coronel to the border. Your name appears on a wiretap. An analyst adds a box beneath Coronel, labeling you Flaco, function unknown. Upward mobility in the cartel didn't provide protection. It elevated you from an anonymous operator into a visible node on a federal whiteboard. You are no longer just chemistry. You are a target. The network breaks when the Nogales distributor is arrested with 12 kilos at a checkpoint. Within 72 hours, he cooperates, providing the DEA with the routes, the tunnel locations, and a description of the man Coronel calls Flaco. The DEA now has the physical details needed to fill in the box on the whiteboard: mid-20s, thin build, and a distinct chemical burn on the left hand. You are now the logistics coordinator with a real name and a file in Mexico City. Agent Barfield is assigned to your case. She has worked cartel investigations for 9 years and understands that these structures are built over months, but can be demolished in minutes if she waits for the right moment. Barfield doesn't arrest you immediately. You are an accessible target in Mazatlan, while Coronel is protected in Sinaloa. She treats you as a tool, the lever she will eventually use to reach the top of the organization. The DEA begins a pattern analysis, using military checkpoints to disrupt your usual trucking routes. They aren't trying to seize every shipment. They are forcing you to change your behavior so they can map your alternative paths. These disruptions cause shipments to arrive late, costing Coronel $400,000 in lost revenue. He begins to assess your value, and for the first time, you see him calculating whether you have become more expensive than you're worth. When your brother calls to say his tuition is due, the internal pressure of the cartel becomes a personal crisis. You use a fake ID to wire $6,000 through a money transfer service, hoping to secure his future in case your own luck runs out. This transaction is immediately flagged by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. The data is forwarded to Barfield, adding a concrete financial footprint to your file. The pressure on the logistics routes created a financial urgency that forced a sloppy personal choice. By squeezing the operation's revenue, the DEA drove you to create the very piece of digital evidence they needed to authorize a raid. On a Thursday at 5:30 a.m., the abstract data points manifest as physical force. Mexican Marines breach your house in Mazatlan with flashbangs. You are pinned to the tile floor before you are fully awake, your scarred hand zip-tied behind your back. The search yields $92,000 in cash, 3 phones, and a handwritten ledger. You kept that ledger in a kitchen drawer to track routes and weights, a mistake Coronel's accountant would never have made. Months of invisible surveillance compress into this moment. By Friday evening, you are in a federal detention facility in Arizona, facing a mandatory minimum of 10 years and a guideline suggestion of life. Your cell is 8 by 10 feet with a 2-inch mattress. You are 27 years old, and based on the 340 kilos of heroin the DEA has linked to your operation, The quantity alone is enough to ensure you never walk free. Agent Barfield visits you. She explains that your ledger and wiretaps have already sealed your fate. She isn't here to negotiate your innocence. She is here to use you as the lever to break Coronel. She presents an ultimatum. If you go to trial, the wire transfer records for your brother's tuition become public evidence. Coronel's people monitor these court proceedings, and they will know exactly how your brother's engineering degree was funded. The investigation reaches its conclusion by focusing on your family. Agent Barfield makes it clear that witness protection is the only way to keep your brother alive once the cartel sees those financial records. You agree to talk. Your debriefing process takes 6 tedious weeks. You give them the labs, the warehouses, and the payroll for the corrupt police. Coronel receives life without parole. You receive 12 years and a new identity for your family. 5 years later, you are in a facility in Louisiana. You receive a letter through the Marshal Service. It is redacted, but her handwriting is clear. Your younger brother graduated. He is an engineer now, living under a name you aren't allowed to know. You look at the scar on your left hand. It is the start of a specific chronological chain: the burn in the cinder block lab, the signature 9 marker, the intercepted calls in Phoenix, and the flagged wire transfer. In the modern architecture of global enforcement, there are no isolated actions. Every physical choice you made was a permanent data point that the surveillance system eventually used to build your cage. Every link in the chain was inevitable.